woman will never love you, especially never love you for you. A woman only loves your approval. Okay, a woman only desires to love and intimately chase your approval and your validation. The crucial point to this that majority of men do not understand is that a man's attraction and a man's love for a woman only grows in time spent. A woman's attraction and a woman's love for a man only grows in time apart. Therefore, it is never, and I mean never, in a man's best interest to spend lots of quality time with a woman. You're going to notice a decrease in desire, a decrease in attitude. She's going to be colder, ruder, and more masculine, and you're going to notice a decrease in sexual intimacy that she has for you.
Red flag number 7 is when she has guy friends. There's some rare scenarios where like a guy and a girl are old childhood friends and there's legitimately no sexual tension between them, but almost always when a guy and a girl are friends, there's some degree of sexual tension. And even if the girl's not interested in the guy, a lot of times the guy has been friend zoned and he's just like hanging around to see if he gets an opportunity down the line. And if you're talking to a girl and you notice that she regularly hangs out one-on-one or even just texts one-on-one with other guys, she likes the validation. Those guys are waiting to swoop in if they can.
And a lot of times, like, girls that have a lot of guy friends, they have one foot out the door in a relationship and they have like a lineup waiting for like, oh, if this relationship ends, it's okay because I have all these other guys that are interested in me.
And then she never even fully invests into the relationship with you in the first place. How many guy friends you got?
0, but I'm friends with a lot of your friends.
That's different though. Like, if I would want my girlfriend or my wife to be friends with my friends. It'd be weird if she wasn't.
So to young women and really talking to them about these are the options that are being presented to you. Less, take off more clothes, do the most to get attention, right? If you think that that's freedom, the idea that you have to wear less and the idea that you have to get naked to be heard, you really think that's a form of freedom? Because that's slavery, that's bondage. I didn't have to take off my clothes to be heard in society. And these women will realize that when you follow these people that are self-imposed feminists. I'm a feminist. I do this. I'm a feminist. You hear that word over and over and over again. You'll find that the majority of them are miserable. Look at their lives and ask yourself a question. Do you think they are happy? Do you feel good when you do what they do? Right? When you're constantly looking for a dopamine hit from social media because you took your clothes off and you want somebody in your comments, a thirst trap with your ass out, right? And you want someone in your comments going, "Oh, slay bae. You slayed the day, bae." Hashtag Tuesdays, am I right?
Yeah.
And you do the stuff for attention and you're devaluing yourself, and at the end of the day you don't actually feel good, and it's not going to bring you happiness, right? So yeah, you can get guys sliding in your DM, you can get guys telling you look good, you can get guys that want to sleep with you. How many of these people actually get guys that want to stay with you, right? That are not in somebody else's DM. The same way that you found him is the same way he's going to find somebody else, because we are increasingly becoming a part of a society that's ADHD. You want to know why our grandparents stayed together? Because they weren't looking at ass cheeks all day on Instagram and refreshing it and going, oh, well, that girl looks younger, that girl looks better, that girl's face tuned, and I think that is what these young women that they're following are telling them. You've got 13-year-olds getting lip injections, right? Because they want to look like Kylie Jenner. Again, not a shot to Kylie Jenner, but what society have we created that ever made Kylie Jenner feel like she had to go out and buy those lips, that she had to contour her entire face and change her entire body? She was already a beautiful little girl. So the society is ill. It's not normal, right? Don't let these people convince you that that's normal. That's cancer, and that cancer will become contagious to you if you accept that. You don't follow better role models.
Are men actually unaware of how we flirt with you? Because I swear, up until today, I thought this is the most obvious thing that you could do. Like, I wouldn't look back if I didn't want you to come over here. When they didn't, I was like, oh, they're just not interested. But apparently, my TikTok comments think that they just didn't know the whole time. They're lying, right?
The truth is that nowadays, a man is expected to finance every aspect of dating. Since he is the one who is responsible for paying for dinners, drinks, and outings, don't forget about the price of that fancy car and the gas it takes to run. Also, we shouldn't start with his overpriced presents and expensive house just to keep her around. In essence, one of today's most pressing issues is that a man is considered worthless in the modern dating scene if he does not have money. Most women today, they are nothing more than troublemakers and lack any real skills or talents. Women used to be able to cook, clean, support you through thick and thin, love you unconditionally, have children, and take care of the house. Those times have passed. They now enter relationships without any skills, concern, or even the desire to remain when things get tough.
In relationship.
Study on date psychology recently revealed that 48% of men 26 to 40 years old have not approached women in the past year, and 60% of men aged 18 to 25 said they haven't. In the entire dataset, 30% of men said they never approached a woman in person before. Ever.
They actually went into the reasoning behind these men not going and speaking to women, and I believe the list was scared of rejection, scared of like an HR response or being reported or Me-too'd in some way, shape, or form, not being successful, and just not feeling the need to walk up to women anymore was also one of the many answers that men gave on the list of reasons why they no longer approach women. So it's interesting out there.
A generation of young men, and having struggled with myself, totally acknowledge it, so no one...
Have you talked to me?
Oh my God, Molly.
He's thinking.
I've never heard of you before, so, yeah.
That's the answer, because your wife is watching.
That's true, I've never heard of you before.
Charlie, come on, man. Don't tell me you got shook by that. Seriously, let me show you how it's done.
Have you talked to me?
No, because I'm married to Miss Arizona, and videos of low-value women getting ran through don't stir my crotch.
Propaganda tool. Can I say one thing,
Absolutely, go ahead.
Molly, I have sympathy for you. I do. You're trying to cope with the suppression of your soul. And filming yourself with other men and filming it is not the highest and best use of the talents that God gave you. It's not.
I think that is a talent God gave me.
Well, it's not the highest and best use, and it's not a talent, because, as I said, in my belief, that should be saved in a sacred domain. We're not going to agree on that, but I hope you change course. I think you'll be happier and more joyful, and I pray you don't have to suffer too much to realize that.
Well, in my belief, this is my most happy and joyful.
Western women are becoming increasingly difficult for men to date or marry, which is not surprising. It is no longer worth it to do everything. Women have developed into entitled, manipulative, and assertive individuals that are simply too difficult to manage. Who really needs to return home to that on a regular basis? Dating may or may not exist, but can we just be real for a moment and say that it has evolved into something that is unrecognizable? Even though the rise of online dating has thrown a wrench in the works, some people still believe in long-term relationships. Everyone now has a lot of choices, especially those at the top of the desirable food chain. Let's face it, they are now more picky and erratic. Because they are financially independent, women today don't feel the old-fashioned pressure to get married. They shouldn't. Why? They have a lot of options to choose from.
All right, y'all. Here's a question. Why men don't approach women anymore? Glad you asked. Let's get into it, family. Happy Saturday, everybody. Number one, the fear of rejection. Women today, as we know, have some unrealistic standards. Some women. Unless he has a six-pack, 6 figures, and is 6 feet, you can't talk to him. Number two, it's not just about the fear of rejection. For some men, it's the fear of being labeled a creep or a predator because the man that's approaching you isn't your type. So because he's interested in you, he a creep? Come on now. Number three, online dating, which has made it so men don't have to get rejected in person. Number four, social media. Now you can just run up in somebody's DM. You don't have to have communication skills. I think all this technology and everything has made our communication skills terrible, y'all. Terrible. And last, we've seen how women will reject men in unnecessarily rude ways. It's okay to not be interested, to try to embarrass them. Y'all, we gotta stop.
I had a phase in college where I would pretend to be a conservative on Tinder and then exclusively date conservative women. And I know what you're thinking, like, why would you do that to yourself? And the answer is really simple. I would eat a bunch of food and then I would dip it on the bill. And I know, I'm a scumbag. But if y'all heard the things these women said during these dates, you would want to leave too. There's one girl in particular that I didn't ditch though. We'll call her Trashly. So Trashly and I meet on Tinder. We're talking about all the typical conservative talking points about like immigrants and borders and all that good stuff. Now, it's not getting horrible yet, but at some point she mentions, you know what, I'm going to be a doctor soon, like at med school. And I'm like amazed, I'm impressed. I'm like, how did you of all people get into med school? And she starts talking about like the changes she wants to make. And I'm like, oh, like what are the changes? She's like, frankly, I don't think immigrants deserve health care. I'm like, that's a wild change to want, but like go off. And then she starts unprompted telling me about how like that's where they have higher mortality rates. And I'm like, girl, I'm brown. Like, do you not see this? I'm like, you're Latina. This doesn't make any sense. But she keeps going off saying increasingly heinous stuff. Now, at some point, I'm like, I don't need dinner. I need just desserts. So I'm going to record you on my phone and see what I can get. So I just egg her on, and her shamelessly just keeps on going off, just saying horrible, horrible things. Now, I take that footage, rude plane, I take that footage, and I send it to the med school she's attending. And about maybe like a week later, I get an email saying, hey, we're so sorry you had to endure that racial hardship. We've taken the appropriate steps to ensure that Trashly doesn't perform medical procedures anywhere in California. And I'm sitting here like, wow, I probably saved lives. Like, I'm not a doctor like my parents wanted me to be.
Oh, how I wish I could reach this level of delusion. However, no, men do not marry inconvenient women. Men love chasing inconvenient women for validation. But they quickly grow tired of this, and then they will settle for the girl who is just like easygoing and never asks them to do anything. And let me tell you how I know this. I have very bare minimum standards for men that would place me into this category of inconvenient women.
I know, sweetie. I've seen your TikTok page.
And boys love to chase after me. And some of them last a week, some of them last a month, but in the end, they always burn out. Like, for the longest time, I felt like Dane Cook in that movie Good Luck Chuck, because every boy I dated would go on to date the next year for, like, months or even years. This last year, 3 of my exes got engaged.
The kicker, however, is that dating as a whole has evolved. It is no longer connected to coming together to build a coexistence. It has become more about comfort and less about responsibility, especially if children are not in the picture. If there is no intention of having children, why get married? At least in the past, single nuns, monks, and priests were able to contribute significantly to society in ways that married people with children were unable to. Modern women lust after the 20%ers, men who typically make 6 figures. Because there aren't enough men to go around, this generation of single, lonely women in their 20s, 30s, and 40s is chasing these few men. Women who make less than men do are turned down by women who make less than men do. These women are told to concentrate on their degrees and careers before considering relationships or families, because they believe they deserve a man who can provide them with a luxurious lifestyle.
Are y'all realizing that myself and other women are saying bear because we would quite literally rather...
Yeah, sweetie, we know why you choose the bear. He's taller than you, he's muscular, he has babies with multiple females, he doesn't take care of his babies, and... oh yeah, he's violent. Am I making too much sense yet?
And that wraps up today's episode of Manosphere Daily. If you enjoyed the content, give it a like. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified as soon as a new video is out. Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.